Today we'll discuss the timeline split and your choice between two futures. The birds stopped singing that day not because it was quiet, but because something ancient had stirred beneath our feet. A vibration like a whisper through time itself echoing from the past and surging toward our present. No one noticed it. Not at first. The streets remained busy. People still stared into their phones, and the news kept spinning its web of distraction. But if you listened closely, really listened, you could almost feel it, a thinning in the air, a subtle shift in the gravity of existence. Some might call it déjà vu. You find yourself questioning everything you thought you knew about time, fate, and your very purpose. Now take a breath, because what comes next isn't just history, it's a decision each of us must make. The third climate, comprising Aries, Mars, the Sun, the monarch of Rome, will not reign for long from distant lands. A strange force shall come. Two roads split, one golden, one in shadow. Scholars over the decades dismissed it as astrological gibberish. But recent decoding efforts, guided by astronomical alignments and geopolitical events, point to something more. The third climate refers not to weather, but to temporal positioning, ages or epochs. Aries, Mars, the Sun, these are symbolic markers of war, aggression and divine fire, but it's the last line that tears the veil. Two roads split, one golden, one in shadow. Not paths to places, but to outcomes. Nostradamus wasn't merely describing a political upheaval, he was warning of a bifurcation in time itself. A split timeline, a moment in history when reality diverges and humanity fractures into two very different futures. One radiant, one catastrophic, and here's the terrifying part: many believe that this split has already begun. Right now you're standing at the fork, whether you know it or not. The Mandela Effect, once laughed off as a collective memory glitch, is rapidly becoming one of the strongest indications that our timeline is already unstable. People across the globe remember historical facts, logos and events differently, so differently that entire digital communities have formed around the confusion. Research shows up to 70% of people have experienced the Mandela Effect. What if our reality isn't a single stream, but a network of interlacing timelines, each unfolding based on decisions made individually and collectively? And what if we're being guided or forced to order darker timeline by forces we barely understand? Quantum physicists have long theorized the existence of multiverses, timelines that exist in parallel, born from every choice ever made. But recent discoveries suggest these aren't just theoretical. They are real, and more importantly, they can be influenced. Nostradamus spoke of unseen hands directing humanity, of invisible rulers, as in the quote, "What is the most important thing in the world in night-seeking dawn?" These aren't literal suns or nights, these are metaphors for alignment. Those who blindly obey, consume, and conform are already on the shadow path. Those who question, create, and connect their feet are on the golden one, but there's a catch: this isn't a neutral split. The shadow timeline is louder, faster, and more addictive. It rewards ignorance with comfort. The golden path, the very timeline you were born to help forward. Stay with this video. What comes next may decide everything. Nostradamus referred to them cryptically as the watchers from beyond the orb, a phrase many dismissed as poetic madness, but when cross-referenced with Sumerian tablets, Hopi prophecies, and even declassified Cold War documents, an eerie pattern emerges. There are entities non-human or post-human that seem to monitor timeline events. They don't operate on our linear understanding of time. To them, centuries are mere pulses in a continuum, and humanity is a project, or perhaps a proving ground. Some cultures called them gods, others called them demons. Today we might call them AI singularities or extra-dimensional beings. Nostradamus believed they weren't just observers, but influencers, manipulators. The timeline split, he warned, would be artificially instigated, not a natural divergence, but a test, a fork placed deliberately. One road would lead to a future ruled by synthetic control, a world of constant surveillance, artificial thought, and engineered emotion. The other, the future, what is the most difficult and mystical path of reawakening. The shadow timeline is being broadcast pixel by pixel, image by image. Fear, vanity, rage, all amplified. Algorithms do not care for truth. They care for engagement, and darkness engages. The more you react, the more you reinforce the path of descent. This is why so many feel exhausted, angry, or hopeless. The golden timeline begins with the rejection of this false light. Not total abstinence, but awareness discipline, reclaiming sovereignty over what you see, and more importantly, what you believe. You still have a choice, even if the screen tries to make you feel the same way. What if you're not living in the same version of reality you were born into? Reports of bizarre anomalies, a rising time, loops, people disappearing and reappearing in impossible ways. Deja vu stacking like echoes. Even the scientific community has begun to quietly study temporal distortions, strange fluctuations in the Schumann resonance, unexplained changes in GPS data, and an uptick in shared hallucinations. In 2023, a physicist at a European collider reportedly experienced a 2-minute blackout during a particle test, only to return with memories of a different family and a war that never happened. His findings were buried, but whispers escaped. The other group is still in the middle of the road, and endings. Anubis in Egypt, the psychopomp who weighed hearts before passage. Even in biblical law, the flaming sword that guarded Eden. These are not just symbolic, they are archetypal warnings. No one passes between worlds without facing a trial. Nostradamus described a gate that sings, only heard by those whose souls remember the first split. What does this mean? The timeline split isn't just external, it's internal. The gate lies within you, and it opens or remains closed based on the purity of your intent, the clarity of your awareness. Those who act out of fear, who cling to lies, who sell their will for comfort, they cannot hear the gate's song. But those who seek truth, even when it hurts, begin to feel it, a resonance, a pull like a dream, half remembered but growing stronger. This is the initiation. The veil between timelines is thinning, and soon it will be a chasm. What you choose today, how you treat others, how you guard your thoughts, what you give your attention to, may determine which side of that chasm you awaken on. The gate is open, but it won't remain so forever. What is the meaning of the word? The firmament. This is believed to point toward 2025 or 2027, depending on how the cipher is interpreted. What's key is the event he describes, a moment that changes everything, but goes unseen, a silent hour, a turning point invisible to the masses, but monumental in consequence. Could this be the exact moment the timelines fully diverge? The last few years have been a storm. Global upheavals, paradigm shifts, revelations, and now a strange calm. But this calm may not be peace, it may be the final pause before separation. A metaphysical quiet before the worlds drift beyond each other's view. If you've been feeling an energy, you can feel the energy of the world. The moment is now. While the world pretends nothing has changed, lies are called truth. Truth is ridiculed, virtue is mocked, chaos is celebrated. It's as if something dark has crawled beneath the surface and turned everything inside out. But Nostradamus foresaw this as the signal, the undeniable proof that the timeline split has entered its most active phase. In one of his most chilling quatrains he wrote, "When the mask of truth is worn by liars and silence is the highest virtue." The turning has begun. The inversion of moral and natural law is not just decay, it's transformation, a birthing process. But not all births lead to life. Some deliver monstrosities, realities twisted beyond recognition, and yet for the awakened, the inversion is also the final challenge. To remain grounded in integrity, surrounded by illusion, you'll be tested. Not by cosmic trials, but in your daily life. Every time you choose courage over fear, love over judgment, or truth over convenience, you strengthen your resonance with the ascending timeline. But each act of blind conformity or willful ignorance knots you to the descending one. There is no neutrality now, there is only choice. The lost civilization of the to override their wisdom, and when their vibrational frequency fell too far, the earth itself rejected them. What followed was cataclysm, erasure, and the long sleep of forgetting. Nostradamus pleaded in his verses, "Hello, what to believe, what to love, every digital interaction, every thought you allow to take root, every small act of compassion or indifference. It's all recorded in the vibration you carry." The timelines do not split because of one final battle, they split because of 10 billion micro-decisions made by people who don't realize they're shaping a new earth. Nostradamus wrote of the great cloud of quiet choice from which two rivers flow unseen. It's metaphor, but it's also literal. The rivers are your timelines, and the cloud the quiet subtle space where you think no one sees you. Where you think your decision doesn't matter, that's where the real choice is made. Don't wait for permission to live in the higher path. Don't wait for proof, you are the proof. There's a strange nostalgia, many a feeling, a longing for something they can't name. A memory of a better world that doesn't seem to exist and yet feels realer than this one. That's because it is real. Nostradamus hinted that those who are most sensitive to the timeline split are not just waking up, they're remembering. The gate is not eternal, it will not remain open forever. There will come a moment soon when the resonance solidifies. When the vibrations of the two paths become so distinct that no bridge remains between them, Nostradamus foresaw it as the moment when the glass no longer shows reflection and the tower casts no shadow at noon. Cryptic, yes, but to the initiated it's a clear warning. The time of choice is now, not tomorrow, not next year. Because by then the gate may be closed, this doesn't mean fire from the sky or cities vanishing overnight. It means that the world will feel different, more locked, and people will drift apart without understanding why. One path will feel heavier, colder, more synthetic. The other will feel lighter, but more challenging. The split will be complete. And those who chose unconsciously will find themselves trapped in the timeline their inertia carried them into. But those who chose with awareness, who remembered, who acted with heart, they will find something else entirely. A new world forming beneath their feet, a return to wholeness, a future worth the struggle. That is what awaits on the other side of the gate. What is the meaning of the story? Time is not patient, the window is closing, and before it does, we urge you. Don't just listen, act, choose, share this video with those who are sensing the same shift like it, so more seekers find their way here. Consider becoming a channel member to support the truth we're uncovering here, and leave a super thanks to let us know this message mattered. The timelines are still fluid, but not for long. What happens next depends on what you do now. The split is real. The choice is yours, and the countdown has already begun. We'll see you on the right side of the gate.